You're listening to Psych to Parent, where we turn brain science into tiny wins at home. I'm Dr. Amy, your not-so-typical school psychologist, mom of two, and endurance athlete. I love a good data set and a diagnostic manual. But I also forget permission slips, overthink IEP emails, and occasionally replay the moment I snapped at my kids in the car. In other words, I'm in the messy middle with you, not above it. This show is for parents of big feeling, big thinking kids who are tired of vague advice and Pinterest perfect behavior charts. Each episode, I'll pull back the curtain on what I see in real evaluations, school meetings, my private practice, and my own kitchen, and translate the research into simple scripts, tiny routines, and nervous system friendly tweaks you can actually use. Think of it as a nervous system rehab meets mindset coaching meets a smart, slightly spicy, non-judgy friend in your earbuds. We'll take one real life challenge at a time and shrink it down into 1 or 2 tiny wins you can start this week. No perfection, no 47-step sticker systems, just small, repeatable shifts that add up over time. Quick legal-ish note in plain English. This podcast is for education and support. It's not therapy, it does not create a clinical relationship, and it's not a substitute for personalized medical or mental health advice. If you're worried about your child's safety or mental health, or your own, please reach out to a trusted professional. Okay, deep breath, drop your shoulders. You're not behind and you're not alone. Let's get psyched to parent. Let me start with a story that I heard from a parent a few months ago, but I think a lot of you will feel in your bones. A parent I work with described that after-school stretch where your nervous system feels like it's carrying a backpack full of bricks. Their older child, who's in upper elementary school, actually had a decent day. There was a sweet moment in the car, talking about a project, getting real praise. Everyone was calm. And then the younger sibling melted down at pickup, and it was like a switch flipped. The older kid went silent and rigid, like full body nope, refused to get out of the car, and the parent was trying to move everyone safely inside, and the older kid escalated very quickly. Big feelings, big refusal, and ended up intentionally locking the parent out of the car. And here's why I'm opening with that. Co-regulation in real life is not a perfect script. It's not you saying the magical sentence and your child calmly says, "Thank you so much, I'll reflect on that." Co-regulation is becoming the eye of the hurricane. Steady, calm, predictable. So when your kid's storm passes, they have somewhere safe to land. And yes, sometimes being the eye of the hurricane looks like me taking a 90-second laundry room reset so I don't become a Category 5 right alongside my own kids. So today, I want to make co-regulation feel doable, not like one more thing you're failing at. Hey, welcome back to Psych to Parent. I'm Dr. Amy, school psychologist and parent coach. And around here, we do brain-based, real-life parenting for strong-willed, big-feeling, big-hearted kids without the shame spiral. Today, we're talking about the science of calm, co-regulation in real life. By the end of this episode, you'll have a simple way to understand what's happening in your kid's body and brain when they're dysregulated, what to do in the moment when your kid is at a Category 5 and logic is not landing, what to practice before you need it so you're not trying to teach coping skills during the meltdown, and a few scripts you can steal because in the storm, your brain forgets English. But first, we have to normalize why this is so hard, even when you're a really good parent. Co-regulation is hard because your kid's dysregulation is, honestly, triggering. When your kid is yelling, refusing, slamming doors, screaming, going silent, or giving you that clenched, absolutely not kind of energy, your nervous system as a parent reads it as a threat. Your body wants to react. So if you've ever found yourself lecturing, threatening, negotiating, over-explaining, or spiraling into, "I'm messing this up," welcome. You're a human. Here's a line I want you to borrow. This is a moment, and this will not last forever. I think this is so important to remember. I think it should probably go on a sticky note. I'm going to say it one more time. This is a moment, and this will not last forever. Because when your kid is in a storm, your brain starts predicting, this is my life now. It's always going to be like this. And that prediction ramps you up. Also, my slightly spicy but compassionate opinion, if co-regulation becomes one more impossible parenting assignment, we've missed the point. I'm not here to make your life harder. And here's something else I want to normalize. Sometimes adults need their own version of positive reinforcement. After I get my kids to bed, I get to watch a show. Or after I get through this hard afternoon routine, I get to read on my Kindle. Or after today and my kids are sleeping, I get to have a second dessert. That's not being dramatic. That's giving your nervous system something to hold on to at the end of a hard stretch. Okay, so if this is the emotional reality, let's talk about the brain science behind why co-regulation works and why lectures don't. Emotion regulation is your ability to manage emotional intensity in a way that supports your goals, relationships, and problem solving. And here's the critical part. When your kid is highly dysregulated, their brain is not prioritizing learning. They're not in a let me take feedback mode. Your kid's brain is in survival mode. So if you've ever tried to reason with a kid in the middle of a meltdown and thought, why is none of this landing? That's not you failing. That's the nervous system. Research and clinical frameworks around co-regulation emphasize that in high distress, support and calming strategies are more effective than trying to teach or reason in that exact moment. This is why I like to say kids borrow our calm. They're not going to politely ask for it. They borrow it through your tone, your body, your steadiness. So if we get dysregulated too, it tends to escalate the storm. And here's where I want to bring in my Florida hurricane metaphor because it's not just cute, it's actually useful. Okay, hurricane nerd moment. For those of you that know, I live in Florida and hurricanes are a real thing here, right? So what better way to explain emotion regulation than using a hurricane as a metaphor? When I started doing the research on this, I dug down into the National Hurricane Center, and the NHC explains that the Saffir-Simpson scale is based on a maximum sustained wind property. So that's categories 1 through 5. But they're also clear with this scale that wind category does not include other major hazards like storm surge, rainfall flooding, or tornadoes. And this maps onto regulation beautifully. The wind is what you can see. The yelling, refusal, stomping feet, mean words, shutdown. The storm surge is what's underneath. Hunger, fatigue, transition stress, sibling conflict, fear of being wrong, sensory overload, a long day of holding it together. So if you're only responding to the wind, you may miss the real driver. And one more thing hurricane science helps with, we prepare before landfall. We don't wait until the roof is rattling. That's co-regulation too. We teach coping skills when the skies are blue, so they exist when the storm hits. That's also good. There's also good public education from NOAA about hurricanes that reinforces this idea of preparedness and understanding hazards, not just the category number. And if you're parenting in a season that feels like we're getting hit again and again and again, it can help to remember hurricane impacts are influenced by broader conditions too. Warming oceans, heavier rainfall, and intensity trends get discussed in climate summaries. I'm not saying this to be doomy. I'm saying it because some seasons are genuinely harder with our kids. And your goal as a parent becomes make your home the safest landing zone you can. Okay, so I'm going to put my school psych hat on. And I'm going to give you a few back pocket concepts that will help you interpret behavior differently. Here's concept number 1. Home is the release valve. A lot of kids hold it together all day, then unload with their safe people. That's a common pattern discussed in kid mental health education around strong emotions. So when school says we don't see this here, it doesn't automatically mean you're doing something wrong. It can mean your kid is using their coping resources at school and releasing at home. Concept number 2, thermostat versus thermometer. A thermometer matches the room. If your kid is at a 10, you become a 10. A thermostat sets the temperature. Co-regulation is thermostat parenting, steady enough to cool the room. We want to be the thermostat. Concept number 3, skills get practiced when calm. We don't teach new coping skills when a kid is at a category 5 with a hurricane. We practice them when everyone is calm, and we support their use when the storm hits. This is also why timeout is nuanced. A calm down break can be helpful when it's taught as a skill, not as a punishment in the heat of the moment. Now let's bridge home and school because the language schools use can either help you or make you feel crazy. So when a school says we're not seeing that here, the translation is Home is the safe place, and we are seeing release after a long day. When school says she refuses, she shuts down, she won't try, the translation might be, this might be fear of being wrong, performance pressure, or nervous system overload, not just defiance. Here's a short email script you can use, clear and form without being a novel, to the school. Thanks for the update. We're working on recovery routines and co-regulation at home because we see more unloading after school. Can you share what supports help her re-engage when she shuts down? Adult language you use, sensory supports, movement breaks. We'd love to mirror a few strategies for consistency. Okay, now let's get super practical. What does co-regulation look like at a 4:30 on a Wednesday afternoon when someone is hungry and someone's yelling? Here's the framework I want you to try this week. Step 1, track the wind. What can you see? Is it yelling, refusal, slamming doors, stomping feet, shutting down, going silent? Is the body clenched? Do the eyes look different? Have that not there feeling? Step number 2, track the storm surge. What's under it? Hunger, thirst, fatigue, transitions, sibling conflict, fear of making mistakes, perfectionism, sensory overload, too many demands at once. Remember, hurricane category measures wind, but impact also comes from the other hazards. So your parenting job isn't only stop the wind, it's also lower the storm surge. So after school, we want to build a runway. Here's some tools that can help. Snack and water before any demands are placed on your child. Having 10 minutes of decompression time before asking questions. Creating a predictable downshift that your kid knows and you know. It could be music, a quiet car ride, a familiar routine. And this is where I'll say, you can't fight every battle. If the wicked soundtrack saves your nervous system and keeps the peace during the transition, that's information. You're not giving in. You're choosing the battle that actually matters. And this is where I'll say, you can't fight every battle. If the K-pop Demon Hunter soundtrack saves your nervous system and keeps the peace during the transition, that is information. You're not giving in. You're choosing the battle that actually matters. Another time where this can pop up is bedtime. Bedtime is a pressure point, so co-regulation here looks like using fewer words, creating predictable steps and routine, providing connection before you correct your child, and using a steady, calm tone. A final place where we see this a lot of time has to do with homework or reading shutdown. If your kid is terrified of being wrong, pressure makes it worse. This is where I love the bad example trick. You're right, I can't make you do it. I'm going to sit next to you while I try, and I might do it wrong. You can be my teacher. You can reduce performance pressure and make trying feel safer. Now, I want to drop my gentle hot take because a lot of well-meaning parents accidentally turn Category 3 into Category 5. So here's my hot take. Stop trying to educate your kid when they're at a Category 5 hurricane. Because when a kid is at that level of dysregulation, their ability to take in reasoning is limited, like teeny tiny. That's why co-regulation frameworks emphasize calming and safety first, not lectures first. And here's my example. And here's my Disney example, because it makes the point in a way parents remember. I love Disney. I love Run Disney challenges. I love going to the theme parks. I love it. I'm not the one who dresses up in all the costumes, but I love the rides, the excitement, the wonder. It's close to me in Tampa. It's fun. I can do it with my family. It's a happy place to be. But if I'm a Category 5 of emotional dysregulation and you say to me, Amy, here's $100. Let's go to Disney, get Genie Plus, the whole thing. I would probably still be super snippy and I might snap. I might say something dramatic like, screw you, leave me alone. You're driving me nuts. Not because Disney isn't amazing, but because my nervous system is offline. And your kid, the best thing you can do is hold the safe space until the storm passes. So if we're not teaching in Category 5, what do we say? Here are some parenting scripts you can try. Script number 1, Category 5, no teaching. You can say, I see how big this is. You're safe. I'm here. We're not solving this right now. Script number 2, holding the limit without escalating. I can't let you kick, hit, lock doors, or throw things. I will keep everyone safe. You can be mad. Script number 3, when you catch yourself lecturing. My brain wants to lecture. I'm going to pause. We'll talk when your body is calm. Script number 4, repair after the storm. That was a big storm. I'm not mad at you for having feelings. We do need a plan for next time. Now I want to talk about something because it's a common parent fear of answering this question, am I bribing my kid? And I want to make it really clear that positive reinforcement is not the same thing as bribery, and why I can say this confidently. Let's talk about the word bribery for a second. I don't believe parents are bribing children when they use positive reinforcement thoughtfully. I believe we're motivating, shaping, and reinforcing skills, especially for kids who struggle with transitions and big feelings. And if your nervous system is like, but isn't that rewarding bad behavior? Here's the distinction. Bribery is usually something you throw out in panic in the middle of the storm. Positive reinforcement is something you plan, name clearly, and use to build skills before the storm. And honestly, parenting resources that talk about behavior strategies consistently emphasize giving attention and reinforcement to the behaviors you want more of, especially when you're trying to build self-control and coping habits. Also, adults need reinforcement too. I say this all the time. If I can tell a kid, you worked hard, high five, I can also tell myself, after this hard bedtime, I get to watch a show and eat some popcorn. Let's take all of this and turn it into a plan you can try this week with tiny wins. All right, tiny win number 1. Pick one hotspot this week. It can be after school or bedtime, not both. Tiny win number 2. Try a 10-word limit in category 5 moments. Fewer words lowers wind. Maybe write what you want to say on a sticky note or on your phone note so you remember it and you've practiced it before you need it. Tiny win number 3. Reduce storm surge with snack plus water plus a decompression buffer before demands are put on your child. This is especially helpful. Tiny win number 4. Practice one coping tool when skies are blue, so it's available when the storm hits. Tiny win number 5. Plan your 90-second reset. Yes, the laundry room counts, because co-regulation includes regulating you as the parent. Pick one is enough. Before we wrap up, one reflection question that tends to reveal the next right step. What's the biggest storm surge factor in your hardest daily moment? Hunger, fatigue, transitions, sibling conflict, fear of being wrong? And what's one way you can lower that before the wind hits? If this episode helped, subscribe and share it with a friend parenting a big feeling kiddo. Make sure you join the Tiny Wins email list. And the freebie for this episode is linked in the show notes, the Big Feelings Decoder, a simple tool to help you decode what the behavior might be communicating and what to try next. I want you to remember, your calm doesn't have to be perfect to be powerful. I'm really honored to be one of the people cheering you on as you parent your strong-willed, big feeling kid, especially in that very specific window of time where the socks are off, the water bottle has disappeared into another dimension, and somehow it's still your job to be calm about it. Like, okay? We'll keep making the homeschool puzzle less mysterious together, one better question at a time, one same kid, different math reminder at a time, one reset before requests after school, one .log sentence, one email that's clear and firm without being a novel. And the next time you sit at that tiny round table in the tiny chair, remember, schools have expertise, and you are the expert on your kid. Your insight is not extra, it's essential. You're not behind, you're building a partnership, and you're building skills, yours and theirs, one small, doable step at a time. Until next time, friends. Thank you for hanging out with me on Psych to Parent. I'm Dr. Amy, your not-so-typical school psychologist, and I'm genuinely glad you're here doing this work instead of quietly white-knuckling it and blaming yourself. Your tiny win from today's episode is simple. Do not overhaul your entire parenting style. Pick one idea, one sentence, or one tiny shift and try it in a low-stakes moment this week. Then notice what changes, even if it is just by 1%. If you want more support, head over to psychtoparent.com. You'll find show notes, simple scripts, and parent-friendly guides that go with these episodes. While you're there, make sure you join the Tiny Wins mailing list so you get weekly brain-based tips, real-life examples from my work with families, and first dibs on new workshops and resources. It's the easiest way for us to stay connected beyond the podcast. If this podcast was helpful, it really does matter when you tap follow or subscribe. Leave a quick review or text it to a friend who is parenting a big feeling, big-hearted kid too. This podcast is for education and encouragement. It is not therapy, and it's not a substitute for individualized care. If you're worried about your child or yourself, please reach out to a trusted professional in your area. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are building something new, one tiny win at a time. I'll see you in the next episode. probably with a cold coffee in hand, cheering you on.